Monday, July 3rd, and this is the week of July 3rd to the 9th. We begin the week with the full moon in Capricorn, which really is kind of, in a lot of places, something that is being felt on July 2nd, because this full moon is happening at 4:38 a.m. Pacific time. So for those that are on the West Coast, like Ingrid and I in California, like the full moon's actually going to be bigger on the second Sunday than it will be on Monday. But this is the sun, which is the giver of light, life, and vitality, in the cardinal water sign, symbolized by the crab, Cancer, opposing the moon, the planet of emotions, in the cardinal earth sign, symbolized by the goat, Capricorn. And the full moon is a release. It's a release of whatever the intentions that you set during the new moon, which was the new moon in Gemini. And during the new moon in Gemini, we're setting our intentions to ask questions, gather information, learn a little bit about a lot, listen actively, and connecting to other people, connecting other people to each other. Those are the intentions that were meant to be set. And now the release comes with Capricorn, which represents your goals, your ambitions, what you want to accomplish and achieve. So in thinking about listening and learning and setting those intentions, what have you learned? Who have you been listening to? Who have you been connecting with? And how can you use that information to accomplish and achieve your goals? Is there anything in your home, in your past, in your roots, your upbringing, your childhood, the ones who raised and nurtured you, your ancestors, that is holding you back from accomplishing and achieving your goals? It's time to release that now. Release the burdens from the past now, and elevate yourself towards your goals by taking responsibility for what it is you want, taking responsibility for your success.
That just touches exactly on what I was talking about, creating an office here to take responsibility for moving somewhere in my life. Like I have to do something
That's
to hold
that
myself accountable by creating a
exactly.
space, creating
Exactly.
the space and the time for myself to accomplish those goals. I think that's super important.
Well, and this is something that you and I were kind of texting about this. But Capricorn is like the long-term goal. You're not going to climb Mount Everest in a day.
No.
People that climb Mount Everest, they spend years preparing to do that. And so if you're out there and you have kind of a small-minded mentality that, well, in order for me to do that, I need to get paid for it. That can be small-minded.
I
Of
mean,
course, everybody
any
wants to
sort
get.
of, sorry,
Go ahead. Go ahead.
any sort of successful artist or any sort of successful anyone in any field, it's like you need to put in your 10,000 hours before you're an expert in your field. So it's like, yeah, maybe you might make some money before that, but you really have to be at an expert level of executing things for people to want to give you what you're really worth, like
Mm-hmm.
to be worthy of some sort of real financial stability from it. So, whether that, I mean, people usually talk about it in like music or writing or like the arts. It's like, did you put in your 10,000 hours?
Mm-hmm.
10,000 hours is a fucking shit ton of time. Like, you've put
Mm-hmm.
in your 10,000 hours in astrology, and now look, you're
Yes.
being rewarded for your hard work. You are now an expert in your field. So it's like
Well,
all of those hours that you put in for free, writing a
exactly.
newsletter for free, giving readings to all of the people around you just in their daily
And
life for
just the
free.
hours
Like,
and hours and hours and hours and hours and hours and hours of research, of looking at thousands of charts, thousands upon thousands of charts. Nobody's paying me for that. I did that because I enjoyed looking at them. It was fun for me, but I wasn't getting paid. If I
yeah.
take all the hours that I've worked on astrology in my life and divided it by the amount of money I've made as an astrologer, I'd be making less than minimum wage. It's like I'm still getting to that point where it's like I'm getting paid for that, for all that time and effort. And
Yeah.
so what is worth your time? When you think of Capricorn, Capricorn is ruled by Saturn, which is the god of wealth and time. So what is worth your time? And when you work in like a restaurant like we did,
Well, it's an instant reward.
it's an instant reward. You're like, I wait on that table and I'm making $20 or $100 or however much they leave you.
Well,
And
that's
it's
the
like,
the
great,
club.
yay. But exactly, it's the strip club. You get a dance, you make the money, and that's it. But
It's a
what
hard
is that long
transition.
term?
Nothing. It's the same. There is no long
Exactly.
term.
There
It's
is no long term.
today. Today's the only day that exists. There is no building
Exactly.
towards a future. It's just
Exactly.
the same thing forever. And that's I'm trying my hardest to use that as a tool, like lessen that part of my life. I'm like, okay, this is a thing that I show up to, I get money, but then I also need to be over here having enough time and energy to invest in building my future. I need to have both. I have to pay my bills, but I also have to invest in my future. I have to be responsible, especially
Mm-hmm.
in the restaurant and the club world. People be living paycheck to paycheck their whole life and they're
Mm-hmm.
making good money, but it's the concept of building towards the future is not there because
Mm-hmm.
you don't have to plan. You just show up. You
Right.
just show up
But
every day.
then one day, you know, you're the 60-year-old stripper or the
Yeah.
60-year-old waiter,
Yeah.
and it's I mean, that was like
It's
my biggest
disheartening.
fear was like, how am I going to be doing that? My body is exhausted,
Yeah.
like how can I be on my feet, for 8 hours a night, like running around like crazy serving food. Like
You're gonna
it
literally
has
have
to
a
be
heart attack.
something.
It's also such a stressful job. Like,
Yes.
and even though, like, a lot of
Very
the times
tense.
I forget that just because I was really good at it, like the anxiety level is like a 9, the whole shift
Mm-hmm.
basically. When you're
Mm-hmm.
making money, the
Yeah.
club, when you're making money, your body is so tired. I'm talking to girls that are 10 years, 15 years younger than me that are tired already. Their
Mm-hmm.
body is exhausted. Like, I worked yesterday. I feel like I'm hungover. I didn't drink anything. I brought
Mm-hmm.
food, I brought snacks, I went to bed. It doesn't matter. There's nothing you can do to like pull yourself up. And even in the food world, it's like you're exhausted the next day. It's like, people go out after work, they drink because they're just like, I can't even unwind from work.
Exactly.
Then they're
Exactly.
hungover. They barely get it
Yep.
together for the next shift. It's the same
Yep.
thing
It's a
over and
cycle.
over.
It's a horrible cycle. I've been in that cycle. And
Yeah, this is the time to not, for me especially, like you've kind of moved on to the next level and I'm still in
mhm.
this world of the in between
Yep.
where I have more than just the club. I have some production stuff going on, like some design work, and I have the podcast. It's like, okay, I have both worlds. I have the instant gratification, but I also am in the in between space of really trying to move up in this world and get somewhere. And also it's just like the constant change is very uncomfortable. It's not like you just, oh, you, like every time, like there's a lot of steps. So it's like every time we get to a new little step, it's like, okay, well, now we've figured this out. Now we have to take another step. So it's like a
Mhm.
constant shift of new energy to implement. But even just talking about it right now, it's reminding me that it's like, okay, you move up a little bit and then you kind of recalibrate. And then when you have enough energy, you do the next step because there is a constant need for moving to the next level. Like even with you, it was like, okay, now I do these more type of readings. Now I have a moon class. Now I have a website. Now I have a book. Like
Mhm.
building on this platform to get somewhere and not have to
Yes.
work every single day, all day. Like it's a lot.
Yes. Well, I want to be an inspiration for you, Ingrid, to
You
just think
are.
about me in terms of yourself. And like, when I was working at the restaurant, every second that I wasn't in the restaurant, I was working on astrology. And I was doing it because I loved it, but I was also doing it because I saw it as a way out of the
Yeah.
restaurant. I really felt like I love what I'm doing here, but I think this is my gift. And everyone has a gift. Every single person out there has a gift to give to the world. And so what is your gift? What is your gift?
I mean, I think 100, 200 years ago, people had crafts. They honed their craft, and
Mm-hmm.
that's what you shared with your community, whether it was shoemaking or cooking or gardening. Like when you found whatever you were good at or whatever your family was good at, it was kind of
Mm-hmm.
ingrained that you would pursue that. And now things are just so different in terms of jobs that it's not always that easy. It's like, well, I can do what I love, but also that doesn't always make you money. You have to invest so much time to actually have that become a financial means. So having some sort of like I feel very grateful to have always had the restaurant and the club to be able to pay my bills because a lot of
Mm-hmm.
people are just, scraping by trying to do what they love for so long before they have some sort of stability. So I feel like I'm lucky in that way that I am able to have both.
Mm-hmm.
And you
Mm-hmm.
already are an inspiration just from where I mean, you came from the restaurant and you invested time in something and now you're having success. And it took a lot of time and energy. Like I've known you for 3 years, but you've been doing it before I met you for two
Mm-hmm.
2 years or more.
Mm,
And you're like one of those
four
people that get a
years. 4 years
4 years.
before I met you.
Okay, so almost it's been
Yeah.
like almost 7 years,
Yeah.
7 years plus.
Uh-huh.
That's
Yep.
that's a long time to be working on something.
Yeah.
And
I was working for free as an astrologer. Like, really, like, it didn't become my profession until like 4 years in.
mhm.
So it was like like the 4 year college,
Yeah,
and then I
yeah.
went and I got my job. But this Capricorn full moon is really like, think about how you're spending your time. What are you spending your time on? And what are you getting in return? Does it feel good to hold yourself accountable for what it is you're working on? And what is it about your past, your roots, your upbringing, your childhood, the ones who raised and nurtured you, and your ancestors that is holding you back,
Mhm.
from ascending towards your goals? Is it a belief system? Is it something that was passed down through your ancestry? Is it something your parents told you? Was it an experience on the playground,
All of
in
the all of
school?
the above, all of
Yes.
these things.
So, this is the time to release that energy so that you can elevate to the top of the mountain. So, of course, if you are interested in learning about how the next moon cycle will be affecting you directly, go to theweeklytransit.com and enroll in my moon cycle classes. They are up now, and we'll be discussing the new moon in Cancer and the full moon in Aquarius. That's the next cycle.